we have Mr. Ajay Kumar. I mean, Ajay is one of the finest. When I say one of the finest, I tell you, in New Jersey itself alone, there are 12,000 plus CPAs. There are only handful. When I say handful, you can count them on the hand who understand the cross-border business and trade. With over 2,500 companies formed, there cannot be any better hand you will be if you are with Ajay. So his experience, he is, as I share with you, he is an MBA, he's a computer science engineer, he's a wealth planner, he's a CPA, of course, and with 2,500 plus companies under his belt, there is no transaction which he has not seen, from setting up a company, from to compliance, to accounting, to payroll, and to mergers and acquisitions. You name it, and we got it. So with that said, Ajay, the ball is in your court, and I'm moving on to the slide one, and there we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen. Great presentation, Tarun. I have been in New Jersey for all my life, 25, 30 years. And I did not know a lot of things about New Jersey that you just mentioned. I'm a big fan. When I came to this country, I could have settled anywhere. I wanted the touch of a big city, New York City, and not be part of that city. Wanted open space, lawn around the house, so I can have the family properly raised. So New Jersey is my favorite place as well. But that being said, uh, thank you everyone for joining. I know a lot of people are there. It's evening time in India, dinner time. So I appreciate you taking time to learn about doing business in US. We'll try our best. We have a concise presentation over here. I'm sure I'll miss few things. If there is any question, please do not hesitate to write on the chat box. We'll try our best to cover your question. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if I'm MBA, CPA, computer engineer, wealth planner, unless I answer your question. As Naveen rightly pointed out in the beginning, you cannot learn driving in a parked car. I put it the other way around. You cannot learn swimming while standing on the shore. So a lot of these things you can only learn by actually doing it. And we have made it easy. It's not that complicated anymore. With Entry India, you have one stop shop, right from business startup to payroll, to the sales tax, to the merchant service, to the warehousing, to the legal immigration. Entry India can bring all these experts to your front door. So that being said, let's jump into it. While it comes to opening a company in US, we typically see three main reasons why people want to open the company. You can have your reason. These are the three reasons that we want to expand in US. We already have a business in India, is doing very well. We are trying to open a branch office in India, in a different country in US. Or we see that we are trying to open a search engine optimization, a service company, a website manufacturing company, website creation company in US, where everything will be done from India, meaning no physical presence in US. And then we also see a lot of time where the people are trying to create a warehouse in US, meaning right from having no connection to the US while you have a business in US to actually having a presence, a warehouse, inventory in US. We have seen all sorts of situations. So you can have any situation when it comes to expanding the business, opening a subsidiary, opening a branch office, or providing services to the US client right from India. So there could be a plethora of situation when you say, I want to open a business in US. Moving on, Naveen, please. So I'm sure you have understood the benefits. That's why you are here. So there's a lot of benefit. Of course, the visibility. You can call yourself an international company. When you are registered in US, you are seen more trustworthy. A lot of US customers, a lot of foreign customers do not want to work with an international company, with an Indian company, especially because they don't know who they are working with. They don't know who they go behind if something does not work out. You can get paid in US dollars, not in Indian rupees. A lot of times getting paid is difficult even if you have provided the service. A lot of banks, a lot of these US based company will require TRC, a tax residency certificate. That's not easy to get. So if you have a presence in US, it avoids all those type of issues. You can get paid as a local company. A lot of investors will see you more legitimate. So you can have a lot of angel investor, venture capitals, private funding, private loans, people who will be happy to give you loan, happy to give you money to sustain, to grow the business. Of course, if immigration is one aspect, please do not go anywhere. After me, we will have Geeta. She's an expert. She did a lot of visas, L1, H1 visa for my own company. So you don't really have a better expert than Geeta. So please stay tuned, especially if you're interested in immigration section. Do not go anywhere. Being a local company, you can bid on local municipality project, state project, government project, defense project, which you are not allowed to bid if you are an outside the US company. If you are an international company, you're not allowed to bid on several of these government projects. Of course, you have preferential treatment, new technology products. So the benefits are a lot. You have to decide what makes sense in your case. And again, why don't give it a try? If it works out, that's great. You did something good. If it does not work out, you can always close it down. Moving on, Naveen, please. So when it comes to starting a business in US, there are mainly two types of structure that the government allows. In total, the government has 5 types of structure. We call it corporation, C Corp, S Corp, small corp, LLC, partnership, and proprietorship. Out of these 5 structures, 2 type of structures, LLC and C Corp, allow foreign ownership. So out of depending on your situation, depending on what you're trying to achieve, will help you decide what type of company would make sense. Will also help you decide, look at the pros and cons of each type of structure. Say, for example, if you're looking for funding, private funding, angel investment, venture capital funding, bank loans, typically the C corporation would make sense. If you're looking for a real estate investment, buying a warehouse in US, typically the LLC would make sense. And in further slide, in future slides, will also help you understand the main distinction between the two companies. So an LLC is more flexible than corporation. A corporation has more compliance around it than an LLC. Changing the ownership is much easier. So for a small business, when consider a situation when you have the dating before the marriage. So LLC is your dating, and C corporation is the marriage part of it. When you have this, I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to give it a try. I'm not sure if I'm going to be successful or not. LLC may make sense. When you have a situation when I already have a business in India, it's doing okay. I'm expanding the business in a foreign country, then C corporation will make sense. LLC LLC is typically good when you have a business where you don't intend to make profit. For example, a real estate investment. After paying the mortgage interest, property tax, depreciation, your paper profit is not going to be there in a typical real estate investment. LLC would make sense. C corporation requires more compliance. So for the same transaction, same profit and loss statement, if an LLC has a 50-page tax return, your C corporation will have 70-page tax return. C corporation, just because it has more compliance, more formalities around it, a lot of investors, venture capital investor, angel investors, banks prefer C corporation. The last thing a venture capitalist or an angel investor want is to have problems because of a business that they invested in. They don't want anybody to be coming behind them because they invested money into your business. So a lot of venture capital, capitalist or the angel investor will prefer uh, a C corporation type of structure. It's very hard for anybody to sue, to legally go behind the shareholders of a C corporation. An LLC wheel can be LLC, limited liability company. The liability protection is limited to a certain extent, limited to the assets of the company. In a C corporation, you have bearer liability protection. So a lot of investors will prefer a C corporation over an LLC. As far as the tax rate is concerned, for a foreign person, the tax rate remains same, 21% flat tax rate for the federal government, and state varies depending on the amount of net profit you have. So here I take an example. Let's say if your total revenue, the money that you collected in this country is $100. The cost to do that business was $90. The net profit is $10. So your tax to the federal government is going to be $2.10, 21%. And based on $10, since the amount is low, you will have 50 cents. So the state income tax rate varies from 5% to 9%. When we talk about, and in our future slides, we'll cover it. When we talk about income tax or compliance in this country, we are always talking about two levels of government. Federal government, consider it central government, the Indian government, and then the state government. Consider it like UP government, Delhi government, or MP government, meaning all the compliance that we see in US is done at two levels, state level and at the federal. Federal is central government level. But we'll give you more information in our future slides. So what does it mean to form an LLC or C corporation for that matter? What documents are given? What does the registration includes? And how do you make sure the registration is done? So when we talk about business formation, the very first step is to search the name. The name has to be unique in that state. So name search. Then we will do the registration with the state government, let's say New Jersey. So once the name is found to be unique, we will do the business registration with the state government. Once the state registration is approved, we'll do the registration with the federal government, call it as central government. Once that registration is approved, an EIN, once you do the registration with the federal government, an EIN, employer identification number, is issued for the business. It's a unique 9-digit number that's required to open the bank account. Once you have the state registration and the federal registration done, then we'll do the tax and labor registration. What it means is we'll ask you, do you have the payroll? Are you going to hire employees? Are you going to have retail sale? Are you going to be collecting the sales tax? And please understand, when I say sales tax, it's a form of VAT. In India, we refer it as VAT, value added tax. There are slight difference here, but just to generalize the term at a high level, assume sales tax is charged when you are selling something to consumers, retail sale. So after asking you all these questions, what the business is going to be doing, who owns the business, where is the business located, we'll do the tax and labor registration. So at a high level, these are the minimum 3 registration that you have to have. Depending on your business type, you may have other registrations like sales tax registration, payroll registration. All those things depend on your situation. But at a minimum, every single business should have these 3 registration, and then every single business should have something called BOI filing, beneficial ownership information filing. So at a high level, you should, when you say, can you start my business? I did start your business. What documents I get? You should get a minimum of 4 documents: state registration, federal registration, tax and labor registration, and a BOI filing document that shows who has the ultimate beneficial ownership for this company. Take an example here, please. Let's say if your US company is owned by the Indian company. In that case, the last document, BOI, will show the information of the Indian owners of that Indian company because they are the ultimate beneficiary for the US company. Moving on, Naveen, please. So we have included some frequently asked questions here just to make sure that the same questions are not asked, are not repeated. But please, if I did not cover your question, feel free to put it in the chat box and we'll try our best to cover this question. So the question we are asked, is there a minimum investment required to open a company in the US? No, there is no minimum investment required. Depending on your company type, you want to see if your company is a consulting company, you probably don't really need a lot of money to start the business. But if it's a warehousing company, you probably need to have the rent for 3 months. You probably need to have the expenses for 6 months, operating expenses, but there is no minimum investment. There is no such number. It depends on your company type as how much money you need to survive for 3 months, 6 months. But there is, as a law, there is no minimum investment that will require you to open a company in US. What does it make, moving on, what does it make sense to open a company in the state of, when does it make sense to open a company in the state? Well, Delaware is a state where the owner's information is not disclosed. Now, starting January 1st, 2024, there's a new filing, we call it BOI, Beneficial Ownership Information Filing, that's submitted to the Treasury Department. So it sort of bypassed that rule, but a lot of people were registering the company in Delaware because of two reasons. First, it does not disclose the ownership information. And second, mainly, it's very hard for anybody to sue these companies. Meaning, in the state of Delaware, the decision is made by the jury, not the judge. So a lot of a lot of companies you will see registered in Delaware where people are not investing their own money. What it means is doing business in Delaware is more expensive than doing business in New Jersey or many other state. But the state of Delaware, if you have a company in the state of Delaware, suing the company shareholders, suing the company decision makers is not easy, it's very difficult. So when you have a structure where you are not investing your own money, when you have a public company, so it's not your money, you're taking the money from the public. When you have large investor behind you, in those cases, Delaware may make sense. When you are investing your own money to start the business in US, you probably do not want to go through Delaware. It's going to be far more expensive than any other state. Now, moving on, if I open a company in New York State but rent a warehouse in New Jersey, would I be taxed in both the state? So, yes and no. The way the system works, you have to file taxes in both the states, but you are not going to be taxed twice. So at the end of the day, we'll ask you how much money you collected. $100. How much were the expenses? $90. Profit, $10. How much of this profit of $10 coming from New York and New Jersey? You say, well, New York is just the business opening state. I did not do any business in New York. All the profit is coming from New Jersey. We'll say, okay, then you file taxes in the state of New York with zero income and pay the minimum taxes to the state of New York and file the taxes in New Jersey on $10 of income and pay taxes in New Jersey on that $10. Meaning you have to file the taxes in all those states where you have nexus. You open the company, you have a warehouse, you have an employee working, you have the payroll. You have to file taxes in all those states. And at the end of the day, we'll ask you out of the total profit, how much profit is coming from each state, and you pay tax on pro rata basis in each state. If you have zero profit, you still pay the minimum tax. Each state will have a minimum tax liability. Moving on, there are there are states in which there is no sales tax and no corporate income tax. Wouldn't these states be better to open the company in? Yes, well, and no. Please understand, all these states are in the business to make money through you. all these states run their affair by having some sort of a tax and revenue collection. Say Florida does not have personal income tax, but they have higher corporate taxes. A lot of states have excise tax. In the state of Delaware, the franchise tax could be as much as $199,000. The state of New Jersey has no franchise tax. They have state of New Jersey has annual report, and the maximum fee the New Jersey state can charge is $75 per year. So each state, you have to be sort of looking at it not from the sales tax or the corporate tax perspective. You have to be looking at it from the nexus perspective. Let's say, for example, if you found a state, Wyoming has no personal income tax. Well, okay, let's start the business in Wyoming. But Wyoming has no port. You have to have a port. Your shipment has to come to either New Jersey or somewhere. Then you have a nexus with New Jersey. In that case, again, going back to question number 3, we'll say out of the total profit, how much business was actually conducted in Wyoming? You'll say nothing. I just opened the company over there. So you file the taxes with zero income over there. And whatever the profit, in our example, $10, you pay tax in New Jersey. So it will be better for you to open a company where you already have a nexus, where you are going to be working from, where you are going to have an office or a warehouse or an employee, as opposed to just finding the state randomly. Let's start there because there is no income tax over there, no sales tax over there. We can, Naveen, take the question now or in the end, whatever makes sense. I see a couple of questions over there. Naveen, you're on mute.
Let's take the questions in the end. The idea, everyone, I listed only 4 questions because if you want me, I can list 100 questions or maybe 200, and Ajay and me sit together, probably 1,000 questions. There's never going to be any end. But the idea here is to give you a jump start. And now with the thought process that you might have looked into, listening to Ajay's comments about states, about taxes, now whatever juices run in your brain, based on that, start to write your questions, and then we'll field those questions in the end.